In this video, we're going to talk about section 5.5, and it says two cardiovascular pathways, and they're talking about the pulmonary circuit and the systemic circuit. And so when you look at the flow of the blood through the heart, which we've already started to doing, is you see that this deoxygenated blood comes from the body. Here we have from the head and the arms, and from the lower body too, from the organs and from the rest of the body. And that blood is going to arrive in the right side of the heart. Now that blood needs to be replenished with oxygen, so it's pumped to the right ventricle and then out the blood vessel that we call the pulmonary artery. Remember, arteries always carry blood away from the heart. And but it's almost always contains deoxygenated blood. The pulmonary artery is the exception, that it carries deoxygenated blood. And so what this becomes a part of is what we call the pulmonary circuit. Pulmonary refers to lungs. And so what's going to happen is the right side of the heart is involved in the pulmonary circuit. It's going to pump the blood to the lungs, where it's going to pick up oxygen, and then it's going to deliver that oxygenated blood through the pulmonary vein. Remember, veins return blood to the heart, and the pulmonary vein is the exception, that because veins almost always carry deoxygenated blood, in this case the pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood. So this movement of the blood from the right side of the heart to the lungs and back to the left side of the heart is what we call the pulmonary circuit. So the heart does not have to pump the blood very far to get to the lungs and back. The other circuit we have is called the systemic circuit, and that's how the blood pumps the heart pumps the blood throughout the body. And so the pumping on the left side of the heart is involved in the systemic circuit. Now, the systemic circuit is going to pump blood all the way to the head, all the way to the toes, and therefore throughout the whole body. Notice even in this cartoon, and it looks like this in real hearts too, the left ventricle is the chamber that's ultimately going to pump that oxygenated blood through the systemic circuit to the head, to the toes. Notice how thick the myocardium is in this left ventricle. And so that muscle is extra strong because it's got to pump the blood a long distance. Look at the thickness of these walls of the atria. They're kind of thin compared to this ventricle. Well, the atria only have to pump the blood to the ventricles. But this left ventricle is going to pump the blood throughout the whole body in the systemic circuit, and therefore has a nice thick layer. So you can check out this diagram to look at the pulmonary and the systemic circuits. This diagram is just showing you a lot of the arteries and veins, but remember, off of these arteries come arterioles and ultimately capillaries, and they merge back into the venules and into the veins. And so this whole torso is going to be filled with blood vessels. And therefore the pulmonary circuit pumps the blood to the lungs to pick up oxygen. They're not shown on this diagram, but and the systemic circuit's going to pump the blood throughout the body, and ultimately every cell in the body is going to be exposed to that oxygenated blood from that systemic circuit. And I think that's where I'm going to stop right there.